Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, tmosso@the1916company.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Reach out to us for pricing, tmosso@the1916company.com. This video may be a little longer than my standard because today we discuss the watch that can do everything. From IWC of German-speaking Schaffhausen, Switzerland, comes the Big Pilot's Watch Perpetual Calendar, Digital Date Month Spitfire, reference 3791-08. Is that a mouthful? It's a big watch with a big name, but it also offers big value. Let's start with the size. Inspired by the World War II Luftwaffe Type BR, or an observation watch, this watch, of course, is smaller than that original, which was 55 millimeters in diameter. This is only 46.2 millimeters in diameter in steel. 17.7 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, 56.9 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now, here is my qualifier. This is the watch that can do everything if you can fit it on your wrist. And as you can see, my 16 centimeter circumference wrist cannot. From over the top, the lugs are overhanging the edge of my wrist. But even in the better view you get down the barrel, you could see that the lugs are out over the edge of my wrist. So I'm going to say 17 centimeter circumference wrist to wear this well, 18 preferably as the bare minimum. Now the strap is beyond beefy. It is aviator style, so calfskin with a contrasting stitch and these little skeuomorphic rivets. They're not physically used to assemble the strap, but once upon a time they would have been, and so they're here today for effect. Take a look at how finely they're decorated with a concentric brushing on their top and then beveling on their sides. The strap is super thick cut leather, and you can see it's been shear cut on the flank and then lacquered to give it a refined, seamless appearance. There's a contrasting stitch, a medium brown, non-gloss, and this is what an aviator's strap looks like, past and present. Taking a look at the buckle, you can see a combination externally of satin and polish, and then internally polish and media blast. It is a snap-shut friction fit clasp designed to prevent you from dropping your watch. That is what a deployant clasp does. Now you can see the strap built luxuriously by Italian leather specialist Santoni, made in Italy. Calfskin on the bottom that is buttery smooth, and not just buttery smooth, but this is a brand new strap. As you can see, no crimping and no gouging. Taking a look at the case, mostly satin finished with a few polished highlights, such as the case back, the lug bevels, and then the edge of the bezel. Now this is a very form follows function 1940 style design, so the lugs are blended in with the case band, and then visually the bezel is stepped in from the case. That it does create a little bit of an impression of thinning it out. There's a vertical step to the bezel, and then it has a polished conical plane. We have little shouldered chronograph pushers to give them some protection against shearing, and then a screw down crown with the IWC Probus Scafusia motto on there. A good solid watch made in Schaffhausen. It is a screw down crown with a 60 meter water resistance, so with a different strap, something water resistant, you could actually surface swim this. If you just want to jump in the water and swim around at the beach or the pool, this watch can do that. I always say bare minimum for swimming is a screw down crown and 50 meters. This is a screw down and 60. Dial side, we have what IWC describes as ardoise, or a metallic sunburst brushed dial that features a sort of anthracite tone, somewhere between gray and black, ardoise. So metallic silver gray. And then this is the Spitfire, which means it uses the nomenclature that IWC has adapted since it was since 2003, really. They've adapted the Spitfire design motif, usually featuring the image of the aircraft on the case back, and they have adopted the design of the Big Pilot and the Mark series and the Chronos to be a little bit more upscale. So you get this ardoise metallic sunburst and then applique indices and numerals rather than printed features as on a standard Big Pilot's watch. So the Spitfire, since 2003, a more upscale version of the Pilot's watch. Taking a look, there's lots of lume, really no shortage here, far more than you'll get on a standard Big Pilot's watch, which just tends to include the 4 corners and the 2 hands. And then we've got the digital date month perpetual calendar, inspired by the digital time display IWC Paul Weber pocket watches of the late 19th century. This design first appeared on the Da Vinci series and the Ingenieurs before making its way to the Big Pilot's watch when this series, the 3791, debuted back in 2012. And this specific variant you see here was made from 2015 to 2016. So the way this works is you have the date, the month, and then the leap year. And this is based on Kurt Klaus's IWC synchronized quick settable perpetual calendar system. So as I make adjustments, everything moves in sync. It knows if you just keep adjusting the date like the quick set of a Rolex, eventually the month will jump to action and so will the leap year. And so all you need to do is set the correct date and month. Assuming you're in the right leap year phase, everything will be correct. And if the watch stops, all you do is you wind it up, you set the time, and then you quick set back to the correct time. We also have a hacking or stop seconds function. So pull out the crown, stops the seconds hand, and allows me to synchronize to a reference time. I will mention one thing. That is the running seconds hand. This is the chrono seconds hand. Take a look at one of the features of this chronograph. It has a 60-minute chronograph register. Most chronographs only feature a 30-minute register, and it keeps the dial nice and clean, as we have a 12-hour register underneath a 60-minute register. They're superimposed, so we only have one register for 2 different indications. And then it's a flyback, so you reset, you restart without first stopping, allowing you to time events that occur in rapid succession. That's what a flyback does for you. Now, the watch has anti-magnetic qualities. It also has a bit of an esoteric protection. So if you're in an airplane cabin that explosively loses pressure, the watch is secured against displacement of its seals and its sapphires. They won't go flying out of the watch. You might not be too well, but your watch will be okay. On the back, we have an IWC manufacturer movement. This is the caliber 89801, 51 joules, automatic winding with a 68-hour power reserve and a 4 Hz beat rate. It is adjusted in a superlative 5 positions, which is the standard for chronometers and high horology watches. It features a free sprung balance, which is very shock tolerant and also allows very precise adjustment in those 5 positions. Again, 68 hours of power reserve, wound using a Paul-based winding system, inspired by Albert Peloton's great IWC bidirectional Paul-based winding system. But this particular Peloton system, if you look carefully, you could see it has 4 Pauls rather than the conventional 2, making it even more sensitive and efficient. Of course, you have the famed British elliptical wing Spitfire fighter, ironically piloted by the RAF, which went to war against the Luftwaffe, which used the BR combat watch. So this watch is designed to look like a Luftwaffe combat watch, but it has the image of the arch nemesis of Luftwaffe pilots on the back. But then again, luxury watches, obsolete technology with mechanical movements, they are inherently a contradiction anyway. Just remember, this is an elite 4-Paul Peloton system that's shock resistant and efficient like all the others, only more so. What else is going on? Well, we've got a column wheel chronograph. Let me see if I can find the column wheel for your viewing pleasure here. And column wheel, which you can just see under the Spitfire's wingtip, makes for a very crisp chronograph actuation, the feel and the sound. And then the vertical clutch means that the chronograph starts without any jump or stagger. So that system makes it a very smooth chronograph engagement and allows you to leave the chrono running with additional animation on the dial, so you have 2 running seconds, but there is no hazard or wear and tear because there's no extra wear and tear inherent in a seamless vertical clutch, so it's got that on its side. Like I said, this is the watch that can do it all, provided you have the wrist for it. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.